activism begins with ACT. The Russ Belville Show features the stories of hardworking grassroots activists working for an end to prohibition in today's activist agenda.
Welcome back, everybody. 29 after the hour, and we're going all the way to America's cannabis capital, Denver, Colorado, to speak to our next guest. Art Way from the Drug Policy Alliance is joining us. Art, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Russ. I'm a big fan, actually.
Well,
Appreciate
thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you for taking our call, because, you know, we get so busy doing the show here, and I looked up on my calendar and went, oh my God, I'm getting on a plane next Tuesday. I got to head to Denver for this conference. Tell folks about what we're doing next week in Denver, Colorado.
You know, we're basically pitching a tent and inviting all drug policy reformers from across the world and the country, and especially Colorado, to discuss drug policy reform and, you know, talk about where we've been, where we're going, what we'd like to see. So it's basically like an international revival of drug policy reformers, sort of like a family reunion, you know, marijuana reformers, criminal justice reformers, harm reductionists, legislators, students. We're all going to hang out and discuss drug policy reform here in Denver, October 23rd through the 26th.
You know, you mentioned the family reunion idea, and I often say that when I'm heading out to Hemp Fest or to the High Times Cannabis Cups or the normal conferences even. This is like that family reunion where people from all across, you know, third cousins twice removed are coming in, because this isn't just marijuana. This is all drug reform. Give people an idea of some of the topics and people that will be discussed there.
Yeah, you know, we will be discussing, you know, PTSD, psychedelics, you know, whether psychedelics can take advantage of sort of the messaging and the same thing that we saw with marijuana reform regarding marijuana as medicinal, and whether or not, you know, psychedelics could take off in the same way and use that for PTSD and other issues. You know, we'll have harm reductionists there talking about supervised injection facilities for injection drug users more on the chaotic end of the drug use spectrum. You know, we'll have formerly incarcerated people there discussing their role in drug policy reform and issues that are specific to them. So it's definitely a broad umbrella. We bring people together from many different backgrounds and many different issue areas to discuss reform in general.
With Denver as the backdrop for this conference, of course, a lot of people are going to be coming in, for a lot of them, the first time they've ever been somewhere where marijuana is legal. How much is that going to be highlighted at the conference? Any real-world examples from Denver that we might be looking forward to? Sure.
We're going to provide tours for conference registrants for to see the marijuana industry up close and personal. You know, members of Marijuana Policy Project, National Cannabis Industry Association, Vicente Cedarburg here in Colorado will be hosting community sessions on Saturday to discuss the industry and to discuss the history that was made here in 2012. So, yeah, that's a big part of it. And, you know, marijuana is always a big part of our reform conferences. You know, marijuana reformers, you guys travel well. You make a lot of noise. And it'll be no different this year, but we'll actually definitely have something concrete to celebrate and something to show people once they get into town.
I like us being referred to like we're the fan base of a college football team at bowl season. Well, they travel well. They bring a big crowd. We're speaking with Art Way. He's the Senior Drug Policy Manager for Colorado with the Drug Policy Alliance. And one of the interesting things we've been covering going on in Colorado now is, now that it is legal, all the fights and discussions and disagreements over how it should be legal. Colorado's got this Proposition AA, of course, a interesting state quirk here that you have to vote on taxes separately than initiatives. How do you think that plays as far as the worldwide audience and even the nationwide audience as to how legalization would play out in their state?
Well, you know, it's a complex issue, and there's many different angles and many different things that need to be addressed when you talk about taxing and regulating marijuana and legalizing marijuana. You mentioned Prop AA. You know, written in Amendment 64, there was a provision that stated our General Assembly should send a tax referendum to the vote of the people the following year. And that's what Prop AA is. The General Assembly came together during our last legislative season and worked on an initiative, and that was the basis of Prop AA. And, it once again has kind of divided the marijuana community. The General Assembly decided to add a special sales tax of 10% to what was already written into the initiative regarding a 15% excise tax or wholesale tax. So, the marijuana community is broad. It has a lot of different ideologies and a lot of different paradigms, and Prop AA has once again kind of split the community in two. Many people are in support, many people are not, but we'll see what happens. Fortunately, even if Prop AA doesn't pass, implementing legislation has ensured that there is enough money for regulation to continue with Amendment 64.
Yeah, it's interesting watching this develop and how differently it develops between Colorado and Washington State, where higher taxes are already written into the initiative and how people are dealing with that. But I think it's good news now that we're talking about the details of how to be legal rather than whether or not we should be legal.
Absolutely, and we cannot, lose sight of the decriminalization aspect of this. We have basically, Colorado and Washington, reduced the harms for marijuana users within those states for adults over 21. And, that stuff is in play right now. And, details regarding the tax and the regulatory aspect, that's definitely cherry on top. You don't want to legalize without providing people a legal way to obtain marijuana. But, we often lose sight of the decrim aspect and the fact that, many people are walking around the state of Colorado and Washington with up to an ounce in their pocket, not concerned with police at all.
Yeah, it's a wonderful feeling. I was in election night. I was in Seattle, and the next day flew to Denver, and it was amazing to get on the plane and off the plane, and it was legal in both places. It was pretty amazing. Art, I wanted to ask you about, this upcoming conference. Lots of great speakers going to be there, a lot of great presentations. You talked about the tours. If people were interested in coming to the conference, is there still time to register? Can they still get a hotel room? And where would they go to do that?
There's still time to register. You can go to our conference website, www.reformconference.org. Hotel rooms are tough, but we're trying to work it out. We're engaged in another hotel that's close to the downtown Denver Sheraton where the conference is at. But yeah, registration is still live. Go to the conference website. You can also get in touch with me directly, away@drugpolicy.org, and I can assist people and give them the rundown of where we are right now.
All right. Absolutely. That would be excellent. We're going to be there, and a few of our fans and fellow activists are going to be there as well. So we'll bring some coverage as best we can. Are there going to be any video archives or live streams that DPA is providing?
Absolutely. We often partner with the Hungarian Civil Liberties Union. They come to our conferences every year, and they provide live video and streaming. Twitter is going to be popping off. Facebook is going to be jumping. And many of the sessions are set to be recorded. We'll have translation for many of the sessions. So, yes, we're going to definitely promote the conference after it's over and provide people with a lot of ways to see what went down if they unfortunately weren't able to attend.
Yeah, and we will bring 2 hours of highlights every day that we're there, and maybe we'll get you on camera and some other folks and talk more.
I'm sure it'll happen. I'm
looking forward to that. All right. So the other thing I wanted to bring up just in general, since I have a Drug Policy Alliance person on the phone, we got a couple of great polls that have come out from two completely different places. 58% support for legalization in Texas, 65% support in California. Now that these polls are coming out, even in red states with majority support for legalization, what do you see happening at the federal level? Do you see any change in their, say, lack of response to the issue?
Well, I think the federal government is definitely under pressure. The paradigm around the harms of marijuana is shifting. As you know, Russ, 15, 20 years ago, we saw no polls like that. And now, all of a sudden, even red states are showing that they agree that you can, deal with the potential harms of heavy marijuana use from a tax and regulatory standpoint, from one of public health and one of public education. and we need to remove this issue as much as possible from the purview of the criminal justice system. So, I think we're definitely reaching a point where the federal government is, being backed into a corner, and they're going to have to address this issue sooner or later.
Is there any truth to the rumor that the legalization of marijuana is why the Denver Broncos are doing so well this year?
Yeah.
I say it's the elevation. The other teams come flying in. There's all that pot smoke in the air. They're disoriented. No,
Well, the state, we're just a bunch of winners in general. So that kind of trickles down to the football team too.
That's excellent. Art Way from the Drug Policy Alliance in Denver, Colorado. He's the senior drug policy manager, and we're going to be having that conference there next week, October 23rd through the 26th. For information, is there a website, Reform Conference or something that they can go to?
www.reformconference.org.
There we go.
And all your information is there, registration, program, schedule, all that stuff is there at that website.
Reformconference.org. Check it out, folks. We'll be there. We'll bring you as much conference coverage as we can. And Art, I can't wait to see you there.
All right, thanks, Russ. Appreciate it.
Thank you for joining us. All right, folks, when we come back, we'll have some time to talk about how we're legalizing marijuana, the tax issue, this time in Washington State, and why our side can't stop using the worst-case scenario. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back after these messages from our 420 friendly sponsors. Support these advertisers because their ad money goes straight to the Russ Belville Show. You're tuned into the Russ Belville Show, the voice of the marijuana nation.
Ever wonder how often to change your bong water?